Kia ora guys and welcome to another flip video session. Today we're focusing on making complex sentences by inserting subordinate clauses. Let's get into it. Some background information. A clause is a group of words which form all or part of a sentence. A clause has a subject and a verb. A main clause is a complete idea that makes sense on its own. A subordinate clause doesn't make complete sense on its own. It is dependent, or it needs to have a main clause to help it make sense. Subordinate clauses. Subordinate clauses can be useful because they provide extra information and help you to structure sentences in different ways. We use them all the time without even knowing it. A subordinate clause usually begins with one of the following words: if, even, until, because, although, even though, provided that, whereas, before, which, that, whose, or who. Those are the words we use to start a subordinate clause. Let's check out some examples. Now, a subordinate clause can be at the beginning, middle, or end of a complex sentence. By adding a subordinate clause to a main clause, we are creating a complex sentence. Now, our main clause or simple sentence we've started with here is Jessica never scored a goal. We are going to add a subordinate clause to it at the beginning of the sentence, and we're going to use the word because to do so. Because she ran away from the ball, Jessica never scored a goal. Now, if we just read the subordinate clause by itself, it doesn't make sense. Because she ran away from the ball, that's not a complete thought. But if we add that subordinate clause to the main clause, which is Jessica never scored a goal, it starts to make sense. Because she never ran away from the ball, because she ran away from the ball, Jessica never scored a goal. Now we can add the subordinate clause at the end of the main clause by going like this: Jessica never scored a goal because she ran away from the ball. Another example. This is the main clause. The soldier could not find a book on machine guns. Okay, that's a simple sentence there. It's got a subject, the soldier, and a verb. Could not find. Okay, couldn't find what he's looking for. What have we done? We've added a subordinate clause in the middle of the sentence by using the word who. And this subordinate clause tells us where the soldier is, so it adds that little bit more detail to the sentence. The soldier, who was in the library, could not find a book on machine guns. Another example. Birds fly south in winter. Birds fly south in winter because it's too far to walk. So we've added a subordinate clause to our main clause, and we've started that off using the word because. How would that sentence look if we put the subordinate clause at the start? Because it's too far to walk, birds fly south in winter. How do you spot a subordinate clause? A subordinate clause does not make sense on its own. If you remove a subordinate clause, the sentence should still make sense. Commas, dashes, or brackets are often used to separate subordinate clauses from main clauses.